what's going on, everybody? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kieran. I help people using a spiritual perspective, and today I want to talk about change and why it's so hard. So change is one of those things that I think a lot of us are obsessed with. We recognize something within us and we would like to change it. We would like to alter that in some way. It could be a behavior, it could be a mental pattern, a conditioned belief about ourselves. It could be a wide range of things, right? And yet a lot of us, especially with these good intentions, struggle to actually implement change, to actually do something about it. It's very difficult. A lot of us can barely get to next week with these changes implemented. You want to change your diet and you have all these plans and all these intelligent ideas, and the next thing you know, you're binge eating a bunch of Reese's peanut butter cups and watching Seinfeld until 2 in the morning, right? Definitely not speaking from experience. So the thing about it is that change is one of those things that is supposed to come natural. And you could take a look at the animal kingdom, for example. A caterpillar is a pretty good metaphor for change, right? Caterpillar, cocoon, butterfly. So caterpillars don't have the same type of brain as we do. In fact, no animals do, right? That's why we're our own species. We have the ability to think, to have some type of highly developed consciousness, to have thoughts, to think things, to go, I think I'd like to do this, or wow, that person has a nice ass. We get to have these thoughts, varying in degrees of intelligence or wisdom. It's mostly just stupid radio chatter, but we do get to have these thoughts. Animals don't, as far as we know, but let's just take the caterpillar. Caterpillar does not get in its own way. A caterpillar does not think it should change. A caterpillar just recognizes that it's time to change. Its body goes through its own natural process of change, whereas humans think in terms of should or should not. So you, with all your intelligence and all your vast wisdom, will recognize something within yourself, and you will go, well, I shouldn't be like this. I should change. I should be like that. I shouldn't have this problem. I should have no problems, or I should be farther ahead. It's a lot of shoulds, right? And what that does is it trips us up. So yes, we are good planners. We are good, we're intelligent. A lot of us, as a species, we are able to make decisions. We are able to think ahead. We are able to, have the knowledge that, of course, we're all going to die. So yes, it doesn't matter how smart we are. Change still seems to elude many of us. And the smarter you are, it's actually kind of funny, the more difficult change seems to be. Because you're trying to use your mind to sort of create a process that is already supposed to happen naturally. So what happens is that we're trying to change. And that word trying, that's what trips up the process of change. The caterpillar does not try to change. It simply recognizes that it's time to go into the cocoon. And from the cocoon, it recognizes that it's time to emerge as a butterfly. And it's the same process as any animal. A snake does not think about shedding its skin. It just simply recognizes that it's time to do that. And humans do not trust, for the most part, their own body. We're not really taught to trust ourselves. We're not taught to know when things are the right time. We are conditioned to try and solve puzzles, to try and solve things using our mind. And it's not that that's necessarily a bad thing. Certainly our mind can come in handy, lots of different ways. But ultimately, when it comes to change, there's a paradox that's happening. And trying to change one thing about yourself is, in essence, trying to deny yourself at the same time. That's kind of what humans go through when it comes to change, because we don't think it's change as a natural process. We think it's something that we should force ourselves to do, that we should try to do, that we should do. It's not something that we just recognize as natural. Now, I know that may seem contradictory, but hear me out. I'll give you an example here. It's sort of like when we say, well, let's take something that makes sense. So I think, for instance, I should look a certain way. A lot of men do. And I'm not the first, nor will I be the last. But I think that I should have a six-pack or some kind of whatever. Okay, it's not really so much anymore necessarily, but that idea has always been there for me and a lot of men. So it comes down to physical change, right? So I think that my body should be physically changed to look like something else. And what happens then is I'm going to simultaneously deny what I am currently. I'm going to say, well, I need to be over here. I need to look like this. I need to change my habits with eating so I can get like this. I need to change my exercise habits to look like that. And then I'm simultaneously denying what it is that I look like now. And that happens with all kinds of change. It doesn't matter if you're trying to change a conditioned behavior. Let's say that you get angry too fast, or you get angry too quick, or you're stubborn, something like that. And you don't want to be like that. It gets in the way of your life. So you think, well, I got to change. You recognize with your infinite knowledge that you should, of course, not be angry or react so strongly to situations that don't call for it. And you recognize this, okay, you're aware of it. But then what happens is you start to get mad at yourself. And then you start to get mad at yourself for being mad at yourself. And then you start to get sad that you were ever mad at yourself for being mad. And it just kind of goes in this weird sort of loop. And that's, again, because when you say, well, I don't want to be angry, or I want to be less stubborn, I want to be peaceful, I don't want to be this way, you're saying to yourself that what you are now is not good enough. And that's impossible to create a change then. Because a caterpillar does not want to become a butterfly because it thinks being a caterpillar sucks. It has no opinions on change. No animals do. But we, as humans, we do have opinions on change. We have narratives. And narratives create thoughts, and thoughts create control. And so we try to control change. We try to put ourselves through it. We say things like, this will be the last time. And, 2 days later, we're doing the same shit again. And, I've been there. This will be the last line of cocaine I do. And then, there I am doing more cocaine. I don't do cocaine anymore, in case you're wondering. I'm not 21 anymore. But that was something, one of those examples from my life that even though I recognize I should not be doing this, it was one of those things that I could not change. And I could not force myself to go through that process. I couldn't force myself to just give it up cold turkey. It's very hard to do that. And so change is one of those things that, yeah, it's inevitable, but we are unable to necessarily go through it in the most efficient way possible because we have a narrative about it. We don't accept ourselves in the process of change. That's not how we think about it. We think that we are not good enough, we're not good, we're not normal, we shouldn't be like this, and that makes it hard to actually implement anything or to go through the natural process because we're fundamentally denying ourselves. So what's interesting about that is the sort of reasons why we change, right? So why do we want to change? Why would somebody want to become less stubborn or less angry? Now, there's plenty of logical reasons. You have better relationships with other people, things don't upset you as much. Those are all good reasons for change, of course, but is that the reason why you in particular are trying to change? And the answer is almost always no. What happens if you examine the reasons for change, your own personal reasons for change, and you get all the way down to the center of that belief, what you'll find 9 out of 10 times is you're trying to change for someone or something else. And that's not how you change. Again, a caterpillar does not change for the butterfly. It does not change for the animal kingdom. It does not change for your viewing pleasure at home while you eat popcorn and watch weird caterpillar videos. It does not change for any of those reasons. It changes because it's supposed to, because it's going to, because it has to, because it doesn't care about it. There's no thoughts on it. It does it because that's what has worked for that caterpillar. That's what it does. A caterpillar's change would not work for a snake's, and the snakes would not work for caterpillars, and etc. Right? The change that we have is specific for us. The way that you change and how you change and what that change looks like is going to be different than mine and someone else's. Right? So why are we changing? So you take that example of that I gave you about having a six-pack. A lot of men think that they need to look a certain way, and of course so do women, but I'm a man, so I'm talking about from that perspective. But there's this idea that we need to look a certain way. So when you try to create change to get to that place, oftentimes for a lot of people it doesn't work. Of course you can discipline yourself into it and push all your feelings down, but some of us don't have the luxury of shutting off their emotions. Some of us are a little bit more tuned in. And so for a lot of spiritual people, or a lot of empathic people, it's very hard to suppress yourself like that and just push forward anyway. And then what happens is you get to that result and you don't feel any better. I've seen that happen with people. So the idea here is that if you're trying to change for something or someone else, you can't really do it. It has to come from within. It has to be a natural part of your process. So the same thing with that being stubborn. While you may recognize that it's a good thing to not be stubborn or be so angry all the time, trying to change that, obviously denying yourself at the same time, saying that you're not good enough as you are, and then also the reason for why you might want to change that. It might not be, like, the real reason might actually just be because you want other people to like you more. And that's not a real reason to change, because you want other people to like you more. That's not a reason to not be angry, right? So you need to get to a better place. So you can't really make change until you've gotten rid of all the distractions of change. And you got to get rid of the narratives, you got to get rid of your reasons, you got to get rid of all the human shit, and you got to go right back to your base animal instincts, because at the end of the day, when all is said and done and you're sipping on your hot cocoa, we are animals. We are a species on Earth. So while we may have spiritual perspectives, we may be some highly developed form of animal. We have thumbs, clothes, something called TikTok. We're still very animalistic in many ways. And so we do have a natural ability to change. We do have that within us. Yet we have a narrative about it, unlike animals. So what we need to do is we just need to get rid of all that. And if you really want to change and you don't want to force it, you want to get rid of all the distractions, all the human distractions, and just get back to your animal instincts. And when you do that, your body sort of takes over. The natural rhythm of your body just sort of does what it was going to do anyway, and before your mind started to get involved. Before it told you about what you should be doing, how you should be doing it, why you should be doing it, all of those things, get rid of all of them. Caterpillar or a snake or any other animal that goes through changes, I don't know, literally any animal, there's no when they should change, how or why. It just happens naturally, and there's no thoughts about it. So this video is just inspired to try and help you not try to force things. Don't force change. Get rid of that narrative. If you're having issues changing, it's you in your own way. Nothing else. It's not because you're an idiot. It's not because you're stupid. It's not because you're too angry or too sad or not spiritually developed enough, or it's none of those reasons. It's just you're trying to create a narrative. You're having a story about change, and you don't need a story about change. Change just happens, and that's all it is. Anytime that I've ever changed in my life, I've only ever changed because I stopped trying to change. And I know that's a paradox, but most truth, as you'll find in life, is paradox.